Binge the full week of The Ray Taylor Show ad-free over at inspireddisorder.com/plus.
This is The Ray Taylor Show.
Swipe up 175 is the number of times I have recorded a show where I talk about current events or just share things that have happened in the past week, posts that I've seen on Instagram that I want to talk about and share with you. Let's get it started, shall we? With something that should not be considered news on any platform in any year, decade, generation. At no point, in no place, is this news or should be news to anybody. But for those that watched the Super Bowl, you know, the great hip-hop acts that performed during halftime, obviously Eminem, making all of the racist conservatives very angry with the fact that he kneeled. Just kneeling at all is offensive to these people. That's how fragile they are. It doesn't even have to have the American national anthem playing in the background. No flag involved. Just any kind of kneeling really makes the racist people of this country just quiver and quake and just cry and be very angry and just upset and offended. But on that same day, another one of these hip-hop stars did their best to offend all of the fragile people in the conservative party, and that person being Snoop Dogg, who was apparently caught on video, get this, people, smoking weed. Before his performance, Snoop Dogg smoked marijuana, cannabis. He lit it on fire, and then he put it in his mouth, and then he sucked it into his lungs, and then he blew it out before he went to perform. Also, water is wet, fire is hot, and these people that cry and complain about this are stupid and have nothing better to do in their lives than to complain about somebody who's one of the biggest icons of the substance known as marijuana. He is one of the massive stars whose brand is closely tied to cannabis. But also, how dare this man, this weed icon, this marijuana connoisseur, how dare he consume this product, this substance that's never killed a human being in the history of humankind, to ingest this substance into his body that is also recreationally legal in the state in which he was doing it. How dare he participate in legal activity? Meanwhile, surrounded by millions of people that overpaid to be at this sporting event that most people don't give a shit about, but it's just an event that people need to show up. It's like Coachella. It's like you're have a different status when you say you've attended Coachella. Same thing with the Super Bowl. If you can say I spent tons of money on these overpriced tickets for a game that may or may not have been good, I don't know. I didn't watch it. But guaranteed those people were trashed on another recreationally legal drug known as alcohol. A drug that is wildly known to be very deadly to human beings. But people got to cry about Snoop Dogg smoking weed. Pathetic. It's just these people cry about every little thing that doesn't fit into their perfect little boxes of how humans should exist. It's just blasphemy. It's evil. It's disgusting. It's like there are no rules to this life. And if you are Snoop Dogg, you must smoke weed before performing in a historical manner, representing not only hip-hop, not only West Coast hip-hop, but hip-hop from the 90s. from the greatest generation. So I laughed. I laughed at the fact that people, I think some news, it was like Newsweek. Like, that's not news. It's not news at all. That's like broadcasting that Trump filed for bankruptcy because another one of his businesses failed. Like, that's how often Snoop smokes weed. He smokes weed as often as Trump is involved in something that fails. But yeah, that's awesome. Snoop Dogg. Great. I didn't see the performance. Again, I can't remember the last time I watched the Super Bowl. I tried to get into NFL back when I lived in San Diego, and the Chargers had a shot. I tried to be a fan of the Chargers. Like, oh, I'm living in a city that has a professional football team. I should support them. And then I quickly realized, like, oh, I have no control over this team that is poorly managed, and it's just going to cause me anger and frustration to support this team that I have zero control over and that I don't agree with. So I had to tap out. I was like, I can't do this. This is disappointing. And then football in general, I just got tired of it. It's just, I mean, it's the Super Bowl itself. It's just, it's mostly people care about the commercials and the halftime show. The game is boring. They do a play and then commercial break. They do a play. Oh, let's talk about this play for a half hour before they do another play. It is just a lot of breaks in between small bits of action. So seeing Snoop Dogg smoke weed must have been one of the most entertaining things. But I heard the halftime performance was great. I'm sure at some point I will watch it. You know, I'm a fan. I was, a fan of all of them, all of their music from the 90s. I don't know the last time I've listened to any of their stuff. I haven't listened to any of the new Eminem stuff. It's been a while. I've gone on a different journey when it comes to hip hop over the years. The Many Faces is an ongoing abstract ink portrait series that I started many years ago. I release a new face every day, but go to inspireddisorder.com to check them out. So many available. But as a listener to The Ray Taylor Show, you can save 10% when you use coupon code INSPIRED when you check out. So go to inspireddisorder.com/TMF, that stands for The Many Faces. Go check them out, browse the entire collection, and when you decide on a piece, or maybe multiple pieces, make sure you use coupon code INSPIRED when you check out, and you'll save 10%. As a big thank you for checking out my work, for collecting my work, and for listening to The Ray Taylor Show. And with that said, let's get back to the show. But let's move on to just something crazy, something actually crazy, that if you had said this, like if this was in a movie, right? Having Snoop Dogg smoke weed in a movie would be like, oh, they just happened to catch Snoop Dogg while he's living. But to see this, if you were to see this in a movie, this flock of birds fall from the sky in Chihuahua, Mexico, in a way that would not seem realistic whatsoever if it was in a movie. Because like this just group of birds, like this cloud of birds that just dive bomb the ground. They fly into the earth like it doesn't exist. And some of them get up and fly away. Some of them do. You know, the ones that probably landed on the dead bodies and that cushion them a little bit. And birds don't weigh a lot, so, but there's a lot of dead ones. I mean, this video shows the ones that were not so lucky. And it's just crazy. Like, imagine walking down the street. That's worse than those birds in Australia and New Zealand that, like, dive bomb you, which would be scary as well. But just like imagine walking down the street and this cloud, you look up and it's black. It looks like a rain cloud that is about to just fall right on your face. It's like an asteroid just about to make contact. That'd be scary. It would, I mean, so many birds. So many birds. Like, that's just crazy. Even if you were driving, that would be scary. If that was like your house, because there's houses there, I'm sure like it sounded like hail. Just destruction of these bird skulls all over the place. A bizarre and disturbing incident in Mexico when hundreds of birds dropped dead from the sky in unison. It doesn't look like they dropped dead. It looked like it was a flock of birds. You know, when they're in the air with enough altitude and you see them, they look like this amorphous blob, kind of always just flying in different formations, this kind of weird like blob of birds in this formation. Like, just imagine that group, but they got the wrong coordinates, and they were flying way, they were like around some mountain, and they didn't think they were. Because they fly off. A lot of them fly off. Officials are still trying to figure out the cause of death. One local veterinarian suggests the birds could have inhaled nearby toxic fumes. I mean, maybe. It really feels like they're trying to describe why they fell from the sky versus why did they all fly into the earth? Like, it seems like, I mean, which could be fumes also. Something in their brain told them, it's like, oh, let's fly down. But maybe it was 5G. Maybe all those birds got the vaccine, and that's just, one of those birds is going to be on Joe Rogan next week talking about they're no real birds. Birds are all spy bots or whatever. But yeah, just kind of a crazy situation. Birds flying. There's horror movies, The Birds. I haven't watched that movie in forever. I don't know if it's good. Probably not. But if this was in that movie, I'd be like, that's not real. Why? That's not real. And then at the end of the movie in the credits, they could have that video playing. It's like, aha, it was real. This is what it actually looked like. Wow, they did it pretty good. I probably would talk shit. It's like, oh, I'm so tired. The thing I hate the most, this is my impersonation of me. The thing I hate the most in action movies is nighttime battle scenes, fight scenes at night. The second is this CGI cloud of birds. There's no way birds would have done it. That's what I would sound like if that was in a movie. Let's move on to some good news. Good news. If you're a fan of the show, Peacemaker, which I enjoyed. Surprising. So surprising. But HBO Max has ordered season 2 of The Peacemaker. This is going to be James Gunn directing the entire new season, which I was not a fan of this actor. What's his name? Oh, my goodness. John Cena. The comedies that he's been in, like New Friends or whatever, didn't like, horrible, but apparently that's getting picked up for another movie, a sequel. It wasn't until Cock Blockers he was in, I didn't think was funny at all. I didn't think it was funny. People thought he was funny. I had yet to see him in a funny movie until The Suicide Squad, which I wouldn't necessarily, definitely funny comedic moments, but definitely more of an action movie. But that is the only movie I've seen John Cena in that I'm like, oh, I like John Cena. Like, he pulls off an arrogant douchebag well. He plays that off well. And this show, I didn't think I was going to like. Just didn't think I was going to like it. And started watching it, and it's like, oh, this is just a really fun action movie. Yeah, they're superheroes. Whatever. But, like, it doesn't seem to have the baggage that, like, Marvel movies have, where it's like, oh, you got to watch these 30 movies before you get all the small references that are in this one. A lot of fun. I have yet to see the finale, which I've heard is great. I've enjoyed every episode. I think I've watched every episode except for the finale of the first season. So definitely looking forward to see what they do with the second season. Just a lot of fun, R-rated action. I mean, it's TV, so it's HBO, so it's adult. It's fun. I really enjoy it, and it's as far as like a character that John Cena is perfect for, 100%. It makes perfect sense that Peacemaker is him. Absolutely. So I'm excited for that. I'm happy that there's something of his that I actually enjoy, and that's his lane, and I really like it. And he's actually funny in it, unlike the other movies that it's weird how comedy works. Like I loved Don't Look Up. There are some people that I love their opinions on movies that didn't like that movie, and I do not. It just like blows my mind that people don't find that funny unless you're conservative. Like I know liberal people that don't like Don't Look Up funny, which is weird. But similarly, people that like John Cena, that think John Cena's hilarious. Oh, also Trainwreck. Apparently, like I don't really remember. He was a small part in Trainwreck, but whatever. I think this is what his calling is to play Peacemaker. But similarly, like I don't think he's funny in those other comedies that people say he's funny in. But this one I do. So looking forward to season 2. James Gunn, a lot of fun. I think like I would rather see James Gunn do stuff with DC far more than him doing stuff with Marvel. Like his aesthetic works best with adult material, not like children's stuff like Disney. Because Disney's never going to do a rated R comic book movie. Nah, it's not going to happen. That's not their brand. They don't do adult stuff. Maybe they release it, but they're not going to release some Marvel movie under some like, Touchstone type of a brand or whatever. So his aesthetic fits well with like adult cheese action comedy. It's knocks it out of the park. It fits like a perfect glove. Which if you liked, you don't need to watch if you like this show and haven't seen the Suicide Squad or vice versa, they go hand in hand. You don't need to watch one to watch the other, but if you like the vibe, you'll like the other one. Join Inspired Disorder Plus today. Head on over to inspireddisorder.com/plus to join. Membership includes members-only discounts and deals. You get access to the Ray Taylor Show completely ad-free, as well as bonus episodes. You get access to the complete live painting archive. You also get access to every single podcast ever produced by Inspired Disorder, hosted by Ray Taylor. You get access to Ray Taylor's personal blog, as well as the opportunity to ask me any questions. So if you want to start a podcast, you're into art, ask me anything. And so many more things are being added every day to Inspired Disorder Plus. So sign up today, become a member, head on over to inspireddisorder.com/plus and become an Inspired Disorder Plus member today. And moving on, last but not least, I used to sell electronics for a decade at Costco. And not a pretty easy job. It's a pain to deal with customers that treat you like a servant, or people that just ask for help but don't listen to the help you provide. So it can be it's mental torture, really. And you're constantly having to keep up with all this different technology. But despite that, I in this video, we see a man stealing a 50-inch TV that only costs $500. As far as TVs can go, it could have been easily thousands of dollars. But a $500 TV, whatever. From some major department store, big box store, is not going to be noticed on the bottom line of any major electronics store. So nobody's getting hurt here. Nobody's getting hurt. What this is a symptom of a business that doesn't want to hire employees. Because what prevents people from doing stuff like this is to have sales staff in the electronics department. You could also have somebody working in loss prevention, but if this is like at a Walmart or something, who knows? I mean, there's security cameras are one thing, but generally loss prevention, they're out on the floor, and they can't be watching everything at once. But that's what this is. If this company had a proper staffing, had employees working, then somebody couldn't just so nonchalantly walk up and just take a 50-inch TV and walk right out the door with it. Like that's only going to happen in a store that is not properly staffed, which all of these companies are doing. They're blaming labor shortage, but what the thing is, they don't want to offer anybody real money. They don't want to pay people to work. They don't want, God forbid somebody can afford to rent an apartment or buy groceries or have medical insurance so they don't die or have to file for bankruptcy because they got sick once. And they're raising prices. Record profits as well as raising prices, branding this as inflation, just taking advantage of this inflation bullshit in order to just ramp up their prices because they can get away with it, because in the United States, those are the people in charge. Those are the people politicians give a fuck about, are all the big multi-conglomerate corporations that do nothing to help the American people. But they are treated with the best care. It is almost impossible for any of these major corporations to fail, because even if they do and they cause major financial collapse, they will still get bailed out by the United States government. Whereas the people who live in the world, where this is not America, this is Northern Ireland, but the same mentality. This store in Northern Ireland fucked up. I have zero sympathy for the store losing a TV. I applaud this man. I know loss prevention people, because they always hung out in the electronics department at Costco, would applaud this man, because they know, just as I know, that store should have had more employees working, and that never would have happened. So good on him, despite the fact it happened. And it's only a $500 TV. That's like, when you work at electronics stores, things get broken. I remember like giant 60-inch Sharp TVs that we had, and somebody with a forklift just knocked over a stack of them. And it's like, so now we have to just dispose of like 6 $2,000 TVs because a forklift driver destroyed them, made a mistake. Shit happens. So somebody coming in to steal something, they plan for that in their budget. There is a loss that happens. When stores do inventories, things come up short all the time. Shit, most of the time, it's the people back in receiving of these stores that work in the receiving docks that end up stealing the most shit. At least that was the thing at Costco. Like, managers, employees that stole the most were the ones working and receiving. Because they can't. They're right back there. So easy for them. So anyway, I applaud this guy. Go steal TVs. I don't care. Who's hurting? Nobody's hurting. It's not like he needs a TV to survive. No, but whatever. That company's not going to feel it. The employees aren't going to feel that. Like, I know people that like loss prevention guys that are traumatized for life because the police shot somebody who was stealing. and they were witness to somebody getting murdered in front of them for stealing something from a Costco. Traumatized. Versus a situation like this, dude walks away with like an average TV, a $500 50-inch TV. You're not showing that shit off, right? That's just for your kids to watch Blue's Clues and not go completely insane during a pandemic. So I applaud that guy. Even my comment on there, good for him. All right, let's do some shout-outs and get out of here, shall we? Shout out to Art's True Form MTV. Shout out to Now This News. And shout out /film. But most importantly, shout out to you.
New episodes of The Ray Taylor Show come out every single day. Subscribe on YouTube and everywhere our podcasts are found. Binge the full week over at InspiredDisorder.com/plus. Buy Ray Taylor Show merch over at InspiredDisorder.com. And follow the show on Instagram at Ray Taylor Show. Have a wonderful day, everybody. Peace out!
Today is the day where you wake up and you realize that everything that you've been dreaming about, everything that you've been wanting, every goal and wish and hope that you've ever had can become real. Dreams can come true. What you manifest in your mind, you can bring to reality.